ekatve saha-bhāvaś syāt sahāyaṃ vināpi pṛthaktve saha-bhāvaś syāt sahāyaṃ vināpi
ekatve saha-bhāvaś syāt sahāyaṃ vināpi pṛthaktve saha-bhāvaś syāt sahāyaṃ vināpi MMK chapter 6 verse 5. If, where oneness prevails, there is coexistence, there it must be, even without companionship. If, where separateness prevails, there is coexistence, there it must be, even without companionship. So I read out verses 5 and 6 yesterday, and on reflection was most dissatisfied with how I'd translated and commented on them. So the basic problem, the trap we all fall into, is to read the verses only at the level of their ostensible meaning. And if translating Ashvaghosha taught me anything, it's that when you study the words of the Indian patriarchs, they're always inviting you to dig deeper. That's one of the reasons I titled the blog Mining Ashvaghosha's Gold. And the strapline was digging out the meaning of Kanchanam Asanam. Kanchanam Asanam means the golden seat on the face of it. But what it really means is golden sitting. So that's the task in view, if we use a metaphor. It's to dig out the true gold of just sitting, which is different from the fool's gold of thinking that this is the right posture. So if you study like Siddharisa and Katsura, or Kalupahana maybe, I think he uses the same terms, they talk about ontology and soteriology. I don't even know if that's the right pronunciation. It's Sotiierology. It's one of those technical terms that theologians and philosophers use. So I'm probably even pronouncing it wrong. I've never heard anybody speak it, but you read it in these learning texts. And so they discussed what verses are to do with ontology, which means having to do with the existence, the being or nothingness, that kind of stuff. And what kind of verses to do with soteriology, which means to do with salvation or to do with practice. And there are a lot of verses which on the surface are to do with ontology. But when you dig below the surface, Ashvaghosha, Nāgārjuna, Gautama Buddha were not the slightest bit interested in ontological discussion, except insofar as it was relevant to practice. So that's why I was dissatisfied with the translation and comment that I made yesterday, because I hadn't gone deeply into what it meant in practice. And the first step to enable that exploration is a translation which allows for it. And the way I translated it yesterday, sahāyaṃ, I translated as coexister. So I translated in oneness, or if there is coexistence in oneness, there should be a coexister. No, it should be there even without a coexister. So I was talking about the two coexisters have to be there for coexistence, that kind of discussion. But if we look at sahāyaṃ is the prefix saha, which is fundamental in this chapter. It means together with or simultaneous with. But as a prefix, it's co. Not con, actually, it's co. So companionship is a little bit of a jump, because companionship is from the Latin con, with, pan, bread. So some companionship is taking bread with someone. As Christian lecturers are fond of reminding us. So this is more, a better translation, if there was one, would be co-goer, because sahāyaṃ is, means going, from the verbal root e. So saha plus aya, sahāyaṃ, means one you go with, a companion. The dictionary gives, if I can find my note, one who goes along with, a companion, follower, adherent, ally, assistant, helper. And in the beginning of a compound, sahāyaṃ means companionship or assistance. So another translation is cooperation. In fact, thinking about what the meaning, if the meaning was cooperation, that got me thinking. If in oneness there is coexistence, it should be there even without cooperation. So then I started to realise what he's talking about, cooperation below the surface, is practice. That's the key, is to understand that with sahāyaṃ he's talking about something in practice. And then, so then we have to think again, what does he mean by ekatve and pṛthaktve? In oneness and in separateness. So we're here with every verse to deepen our understanding of what the Buddha taught. And what did he teach was expressed in the dedicatory verses right at the beginning. Anirodham anutpadam anucchedam ashashvatam anekartam ananartam anagamam anirgamam. Beyond cessation, beyond starting up. Beyond eternity, beyond annihilation. Beyond ekartam, one meaning, identity, one singularity. Ananartam, beyond difference, beyond differentiation. Anagamam anirgamam, beyond coming, beyond going away. The two ways people think about time. But this verse particularly relates to anekartam ananartam. So they express two views. And Buddha Nishijima used to think that ashashvatam anucchedam expressed idealism and materialism. But actually I realised that was wrong, because when you start studying what the Buddha meant by anucchedam, ucchedam is not materialism. It's saying that things don't exist. And shashvatam, actually when you think about, so for Nishijima Sensei, scientific materialism belonged to anucchedam, not ucceda drishti. Ucceda drishti means the view of annihilation, the view of being cut. But scientific materialism is actually very much shashvatam, because they're always looking for the ultimate thing that exists, you know, from objects down to molecules, then atoms, then subatomic particles. They're all looking for the basic stuff that exists. So that's shashvata drishti. So to think that science is ucceda drishti is actually getting it the wrong way around. Or it's not getting it the wrong way around, it's failing to understand what the Buddha originally meant. The eternity view is stuff exists, and the annihilation view is that nothing exists, so like nothing matters because nothing exists. And So if you want to talk about idealism, materialism, I think this verse more relates with that. Ekatve means in oneness, or you can also translate, because it's a locative, you can understand it as locative absolute. So where there is oneness, where oneness prevails. So in a world where people think everything is one, which is the religious world or the spiritual world. And then pṛthaktve, in separateness, where separateness prevails, is a pretty good description of the scientific or materialistic view, where it's not all one, but there's atoms and muons and electrons and protons and chemical reactions between different elements. So that's pṛthaktve, where separateness prevails. So in that sense, you can understand ekatve and pṛthaktve as being those two opposite views, which Good Oneness Jim called idealism and materialism. I was saying he wrongly attributed those to Dedicatory and saha-bhāvaś, because he thought eternalism suggested idealism. But what Nāgārjuna clarifies is that eternalism means stuff exists, and if it exists as a non-empty thing, it exists for keeps. It's immutable, not subject to change. So when Sensei tried to force his idea about idealism and materialism onto, in Japanese, Joken Gedo, which means eternity view off the way, and Danken Gedo, which means cut view off the way. That was a typical example of sort of confirmation bias. Sensei wanted to find evidence for what he'd understood, where it wasn't actually there, if he'd have looked more deeply. And so I'm suggesting here he could have found it ekatve pṛthaktve. Ekatve, where everything is one, where oneness prevails, that's the idealistic spiritual viewpoint. And the opposite, pṛthaktve, where separateness prevails, there is the scientific viewpoint where separate elements interact with each other. So what does that mean then for our interest in practical stuff? Well, the two views are impractical. You can read anything that Nishijima Sensei wrote and you understood that clearly. Idealism is ineffective and materialism is as dry as dust. I remember reading that in his book, How to Practice Zazen, back in 1982. I found that book in a bookshop in Okinawa and I read it cover to cover many times, How to Practice Zazen. Seemed to go straight to the thing what I was interested in. So idealism is ineffective and materialism is dry as dust. So in the middle way, there's practice, and very fundamental in the Bodhisattva practice is cooperation. Cooperation is the fourth of the Bodhisattva Shishobo. I think that's Shobogenzo chapter 47 maybe, or 43 in the 40s. Bodhisattva Shishobo is free giving, kind words, loving words. Third one is helpful conduct, beneficial conduct, and the fourth one is cooperation. So cooperation is it's the essence of soteriology, if you like. The practice that saves us is expressed in MMK chapter 18 for opening verse. It's one of those important ones that I remembered off by heart. So it says, Atma samyamakam cheta paranugrahakam syāt maitram sadharmas tadbijam falasya pratyachehacha. So, Atma samyamakam, restraining oneself. Atma samyamakam syāt, so whatever mind there is, so chitta mind. Atma samyamakam syāt paranugrahakam chitta mind. So whatever mind there is, yat whatever, chitta mind, whatever mind there is, Atma samyamakam, to restrain oneself, paranugrahakam, to benefit others, maitram, of a friend. Whatever mind of a friend there is, to restrain oneself and benefit others, sadharmas tadbijam. Sadharmas, that is dharma. Tadbijam, that is the seed, phalasya, of fruit, pretya, in future, hereafter, cheha cha, and here and now. So, as I understand that verse, so what was the Dharma that the Buddha that the Buddha taught? Well, go back to the beginning. I'm digressing again, but back to the beginning. Anirodham manutpadam manuchedam ashashvatam anekartam ananartam anagamam manirgamam yaha pratitya samutpadam prapanchopashamam shivam deshayamasa sambuddhas tam vande vadatam varam. So I bow to him, tam vande vadatam varam, the best of speakers. Ya sambuddha, he, the fully awakened Buddha, deshayamasa, taught. This is what the Buddha taught. Pratitya samutpadam, springing up together by going back, or dependent arising. Prapanchopashamam, the cessation of spinning things into self-existence. The cessation of drawing dividing lines, if you want to call it that. Shivam, happiness. That's what the Buddha taught. That's the Dharma that the Buddha taught. And then let's go to the end. So I'm suggesting that to understand the meaning of any verse of MMK, you have to understand the whole thing is about deepening our understanding of what the Buddha taught. And what the Buddha taught is explored from many different angles, and it's called many different things. So at the end, we've got sarva drishti prahanaya ya sadharma madeshayat anukampam upadaya tam namasyami gautamam. Sarva drishti, all views, prahanaya, towards abandoning, in the direction of abandoning all views. Ya sadharma madeshayat, he who taught the true Dharma. Anukampam upadaya, appropriating to himself, attaching to, or making use of, depending on, compassion. Anukampam. Tam namasyami, I bow to him, Gautama. Gautama, I bow to him, Gautama. Tam namasyami Gautama. So there's that sense of compassion. The Buddha was out to help people. And so the Dharma that he taught, it's connected with emptiness, it's connected with dependent arising, pratitya samutpada. It's not possible to disconnect it from compassion, so again, sadharmas. Atma samyamakam Atma samyamakam chayat paranugrahakam cheta. Well, I've got the wrong way around. Atma samyamakam cheta paranugrahakam chayat maitram. So the mind of a friend, to restrain oneself and to benefit others, to help others. So, hence the importance of understanding sahāyaṃ, not as only like the counterpart, two counterparts coexisting, which is the ontological interpretation, but sahāyaṃ as companionship, having to do with friendship, having to do with helping each other. That's the deeper meaning, I'm sure. So word by word. If chet, where oneness prevails, ekatve, there is coexistence, saha-bhāvaś. There it must be, syāt, saha, syāt, third person singular optative of as, to be there, and saha is nominative singular masculine because it represents saha-bhāvaś, it, coexistence. So syāt, saha, there it must be. Vināpi, so vina means without, takes the accusative, api, even. Vināpi, even without, and the accusative is sahāyaṃ, accusative singular masculine. I think it could be neuter, it will be the same. Sahāyaṃ means, again, one who goes along with, but sometimes a companion or companionship. So, if where oneness prevails there is coexistence, there it must be, even without companionship. So, the way I understand this line then, in another matter of days or months or years, I might understand it on a deeper level still. But the deeper level than what I understood yesterday is that there's coexistence in the non-empty views, which is idealism and materialism, or where oneness prevails and where separateness prevails. If coexistence is an ontological problem, its coexistence exists whether, however you practice, makes bugger all difference whether you practice or not, whether you help others or not. If coexistence is an ontological problem, that's all it is. It's got nothing to do with practice. So that's why it's important saying sahāyaṃ vināpi, even without cooperation, even without companionship. In some ways, cooperation makes the meaning of this verse clearer, but looking ahead to the next verse, companionship works better, as I shall explain when I get to the next verse. So that if you've learned the first line off by heart, the second line is a piece of cake, because it's exactly the same, except you've got pṛthaktve instead of ekatve. So, if chet, where separateness prevails, pṛthaktve, there is coexistence, saha-bhāvaś, there it must be, syāt saha, even without companionship, even without cooperation. Sahāyaṃ vināpi. If, where oneness prevails, there is coexistence, there it must be. It's an ontological problem where oneness prevails. If we think that, thanks to God, all things are in harmonious coexistence with each other, then no need to practice. Thanks God, you've taken care of everything. So there it is, even without practice, even without cooperation, even without companionship. If where separateness prevails there is coexistence, there it must be. So in the scientific worldview also, if you read the Tao of Physics and agree with Fritjof Capra that, you know, when the waves rush in, everything's in a cosmic dance, interacting, all the molecules are interacting with each other. Voila. Thanks to E equals mc squared, their coexistence is. Again, nothing to do with practicing Zazen, nothing to do with efforts to obtain the four fruits of practice leading to arhathood. What's the point? Because it's all taken care of already. even without companionship. Sahāyaṃ vināpi saha. So the reason I've used companionship is because we're talking about, the context is raga rakta, the redness and the reddened one. And on the surface, the point of practice is for the reddened one, the one who becomes emotional, to learn to deal with emotional afflictions, afflictive emotions, as the Tibetans call it. So how does the practitioner, the one who blushes, the one who gets emotional, how does he deal with, say, anger or lust? That's the question. I'm preempting myself because this is what we'll discuss in verse 6. Ekatve saha-bhāvaś syāt sahāyaṃ vināpi saha. Pṛthaktve saha-bhāvaś syāt sahāyaṃ vināpi saha. If where oneness prevails there is coexistence, there it must be, even without companionship. If where separateness prevails there is coexistence, there it must be, even without companionship.
ekatve saha-bhāvaś syāt sahāyaṃ vināpi saha. pṛthaktve saha-bhāvaś syāt sahāyaṃ vināpi saha.